into the online broadcast network, AfterBuzz TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your number one source for after-show entertainment. AfterBuzz TV, the destination for TV superfans, producing after-shows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows, interviewing celebrities and showrunners, and bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
This song was sweet. Yeah, it was cute. We were all just saying how much we love music on the show. Well, welcome, Royalists and Loyalists, whatever you all fans like to call yourself. This is the Royals After Show on AfterBuzz. I'm going to be your host tonight. I am Megan Stecher, and I am joined by these lovely ladies.
Hey guys, I'm Christina Kaplan.
And this is Fern Ronay.
So we are at Season 1, Episode 6, The Slings and Arrows of Outrageous Fortune. And like we discussed last week, it is another line from Hamlet. And I happen to have right here what it means. Because last week we took like 20 freaking minutes in an English class to do this. So it's actually from the famous To Be or Not to Be speech. It's the third line of that whole thing. And what it translates to really is like, the question is it better to be dead or alive? And blah, 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 blah. I think it really had to do with the whole fun little bow and arrow scene in the when she accidentally shot a shook rather than to be dead or alive. That doesn't really seem to have much to do with this episode. But it was another good one. We think so much happened that we can barely keep up. Hopefully we'll fit it all in. So I think let's start with Eleanor. Was this another episode we started with her?
In bed?
I don't think she was in bed.
No, I think it started with the cousins.
Right, with the drugs.
True.
So my theory was wrong that every episode starts with Eleanor in bed.
Well, yeah, she wasn't in bed, but she was on the very next scene, you know, with the diplomatic bag and everything right after they first showed the cousins. So I guess it kind of started with her.
But we broke our streak of thinking that it started in bed. Oh, well. Either way. A funny beginning. Those cousins, I can't get over them.
I know.
Shoving. Okay. So we open with them putting drugs up their bums. And then Eleanor's like, you idiots could have just put that in the diplomatic bag that they can't check. And so Eleanor puts all of her drugs and awful other paraphernalia that she names in there. With like a sex toy and...
Yeah. A gun or something.
Yeah, some kind of a gun. Anywho. First thing that happens when we get to Monaco is that she shoves a shook on the bed and makes a little fake sex tape to send to Jasper. Do we think that she does not like Jasper anymore and is trying to upset him? Or do we think that she's upset that he was playing with her feelings and she really is still invested and she's trying to get him riled up?
I think she still cares about him. And she's mad because, you know, like you just said, he was playing with her feelings and, you know, lied to her this whole time, had her believing that she was being blackmailed when really, you know, it was kind of such a torrid situation because she, you know, originally was in it because he was blackmailing her and then they just developed feelings for each other and it just became like so messed up and so I think she's just still harboring a lot of like resentment towards him, but she can't completely hide those feelings. But luckily Beck came into the picture in this episode and kind of helped her maybe forget about Jasper for a little bit.
I love that scene. I was like, oh my God, it was almost the greatest day of a shook's life. I love him. He's so cute. He's so funny. I think, she, you know, was developing feelings for him, and if she didn't care, if she weren't, she wouldn't have been pissed and sent him that. So she cares a little bit, and it was the final, like, F you, and I think, you know, it's gone over the hump where they're not going to end up together since we know what happens with him and the Queen, so.
Yeah,
it was just a final F you to him.
Really? See, I think things are going to spiral deeper and deeper with these two.
Oh, really?
Because it's like, Beck's not in the picture after this week, so she's just going to have to go back to her home where Jasper still is, and he's also been taken away by the Queen. So I think that's going to drive her jealousy that she kind of thrives on.
But they didn't mention whether or not Eleanor knew about Jasper putting in notice for a transfer, right? Like, do we know if she knows that he did that?
I don't think she knows, because I think he did it while she's gone.
After the whole fake, or like, you know, other girl was in the bed or whatever.
Yeah, her double.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But a love triangle with a mother and daughter involved,
that's going to be weird.
So disgusting.
Yeah.
It's kind of gross.
So gross.
The whole scene, I know we're skipping ahead, but like the whole scene with the Queen and Jasper was gross to me. Like,
yeah, me too. Oh my God. Yeah. I was like,
especially for the Queen of England, like, you know, you expect her to be, obviously I know everyone like needs to let loose sometimes, but you expect her to be like prim and proper, and okay, she already has her lover, you know, what's his name?
The captain.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
And
Captain Lacey.
Yes, Captain Lacey. And now, you know, she's taking on Jasper, and it's just like, okay, like...
Right, enough is enough.
Yeah.
And she's like beautiful and the Queen of England. Like, you should have enough confidence to not need validation from... I mean, I know he's hot.
Right.
But,
I think at the very least, the people expect the Queen to not be sleeping with anyone but the King. So I think
her daughter's love interest.
And she's so judgmental about her son sleeping with the help. Now this is the second quote-unquote help that she slept with, you know, because Captain Lacey was apparently the help of her family when she was younger. So it's like she's very contradictory of her own self. It's kind of like strange.
She's a hypocrite.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about... I know we're going to have to jump all over the place today. When Jasper is warned by Ted, head of security, Ophelia's dad, that we're looking into your past, we know you haven't been honest. Where was I going with all this? It's
why
all
would
such a spider web.
I was asking, like, then why would you hire him? And
because he
why did you hire him?
he said, you know, I know that you're, from what I can tell, you're not your parents. And like his parents were the grifters of Vegas or whatever. And, you know, he believed, I wrote it down, like he said, you know, I believe everyone has or should get to rewrite their own history or something like that.
It's
get a second
too
chance.
Nice. Like, why is he so nice? Should be the best security in the country. You should. I'm sure there are millions of people, or many thousands of people, who are applying for this job who have perfectly clean records. What are you being so nice to this kid for? I just felt like it was like they could have written it a little different to make it a little more believable. Like, I don't know what, but
no, I agree with you. I thought it was a little weird because I was like, okay, this is supposed to be, you know, the highest security. This is the King and Queen of England. And you're letting this person who already lied about their past and on top of it have shady parents, and you don't know anything, you don't know about maybe he was in the same business, whatever, you know, and you're like, oh, whatever, like you get a second chance, like it's no big deal.
It would make sense if Ophelia's father, had similar parents, had a similar situation, and someone gave him a second chance and he felt like he had to pay it forward. Well, then tell us that. But like to just be like, you know, because he's so nice, it just didn't make sense.
And it's one of those shows where they leave us hanging to bring
maybe
it up.
We'll find out.
To maybe bring it up again later.
Yeah.
Oh, this is so hard.
There's so much.
Okay, let's go back to when they first get to Monaco. Eleanor is super, super excited that Beck, who, thank God we were watching with subtitles because I thought she was calling this guy Bick. And I was like, ugh, what a terrible, is that like the aristocrats of Britain? Is that like a cool name, Bick? But it's Beck, who was apparently Robert's best bud. Liam has invited him along for the weekend. Also, side note, Gemma is staying nearby with all her friends, had to tag along third wheel as well. But Eleanor is so pumped and she starts acting all excited and jumping around. What did you guys think when Beck showed up about who he was and what was going to go on with him that weekend? Because we were wrong about that it was going to be Nick.
Right.
I think we all thought it looked like Nick and we thought it was going to be Nick. So what did you guys think that Beck's character was going to bring to this episode?
Well, I kind of knew right off the bat when Eleanor was like, what is he doing here? You know, like all freaking out. Like obviously they had some sort of past. And I mean, I didn't expect it to happen the way it did where, you know, we saw this whole other side of her and she went 2 full days with I mean, she drank alcohol, but she had no drugs, which is completely unlike her because she's usually waking up and like smoking her bong right as she wakes up. Right. So, and I think, I know I mentioned to you guys when we were watching it in the screening room, because it was the second time we had all watched it, I'm like, I didn't notice, none of us noticed that he was married until the end. But now, once I watched it the second time, I saw his ring throughout the show, or throughout the episode, but I just never noticed it until the very end. I wasn't ever looking at his hand. Right. So, like we said, we all were like, why does she keep pushing him away? But then obviously that's why. But yeah, no, I was surprised at the way that, their relationship turned out in this episode. I think it was good for Eleanor. I'm just wondering how she's going to bounce back from that. Because obviously, he said, I would be with you every day if I could. And then at the end we find out he's, his wife wants to give it another try or something like that. So it's kind of like, I'm wondering now if she's going to, spiral even more, like you said, out of control with Jasper and that whole situation, because she knows that she can't be with Beck. I don't know.
Yeah, when he arrived, I loved seeing her so out of, so not cool, calm, and collected, and so girly. It was adorable. She's just, everything she does, it makes her so likable. And I was so thrilled at the way their story was going until the end, and I got stabbed in the heart at the end. I was so upset, but I loved the way it was going, that she was completely unmasked and without drugs and have to really feel things for the first time. Her brother's death, how she presents herself to the world, everything, and he loved her just as she is, without drugs, the real her. I was like, this is so awesome for her. I was so happy when they finally kissed in the pool. I'm like, this is great, but why is she walking away? Yeah, and then I got my heart broken at the end.
Yes, I think we all did, just like Eleanor.
I know, I can't take it.
Beck just walked out on us.
He did.
So I thought it was so great, and I kind of am only thinking of it for the first time, I guess, really now while we're talking about it, how Eleanor is so different when she's not on drugs. Yeah. Because she's just a crazy party queen who just wants to have a lot of sex, I think, every week. And now to see her as just like a kind, quiet, normal girl who just has a crush on a boy. It's so refreshing.
And it is funny how he made a point to say, like, when he brought her breakfast and stuff in bed, when she woke up and he's like, you look amazing. And it's true, she always ends up waking up with her makeup all over her face, and this time, she woke up and looked like all fresh and beautiful, so it's like, it was cool to kind of see that other side of her. And he even said, why don't you show that side to the public? What did he say? The quiet, kind, enchanting girl that I know. I thought that was sweet, but she's like, they don't want to see that side of me.
Yeah, it was interesting how she, he said that to her, and then she can't take his advice. The first thing she does is, puts her sunglasses on, said, did you miss me? Yeah. So, yeah, I think she's going to go back to being the old Eleanor, which is fun to watch. She's awesome.
Badass Eleanor.
It's going to take her a little bit longer to accept herself and love herself without drugs.
Do you guys kind of feel about her makeup that it's like a mask for her? Every time I watch her and she's not in a scene that it's nighttime or it's kind of dark in the room, when it's bright lighting like it was this whole episode, they were out in the sun a lot, they were at that casino, and apparently casinos in Monaco have giant windows, and it was daytime and the sunlight was coming in. Weird. I thought it was so weird. Fern and I are both from the East Coast, so we've been to Atlantic City so much, and I haven't been to Vegas yet, but I assume it's the same. There's no clocks, there's no windows, it's like nighttime all the time, and I was like, oh my god, they're at the casino and there's full daylight. That's so weird to me.
So weird. And I'm like, why aren't they laying at the pool all day and then going out and then at going night, to the casino? Yes. Isn't that how it works?
I know, I would think, but
I guess I felt like gambling.
Thinking like, why is her makeup so heavy in the daytime? And it's like, that's her look all the time. I guess I really hadn't thought about it before this episode, but I kind of feel like that helps on her on the outside, and the drugs is what she takes like to numb her feelings and be like the cool badass. And I guess I never really realized how much of that was going on until this week.
That's true. Yeah, it's like, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, do you guys think we'll see Beck again in this season?
God, I hope.
I hope so.
I want like a duel between Beck and Jasper. Like the final episode of season 1. Beck showing up like, I left my wife.
Yeah, right?
Yes. That would be perfect.
Yes.
I know.
Oh my goodness.
And
Okay.
and then he loses to, and then Jasper loses and he's stuck with the queen. Something like that.
If he was like, go back to Vegas where you belong. I would love that.
Yes.
Please forgive my terrible accent, but I just like to pretend that when I do
I
speak
think
in
it's
it,
good.
it's convincing, but it's not. So Liam and Ophelia are also having a great weekend in Monaco. Gosh, I really feel like they didn't have any problems the whole time. This was like lover's paradise
Perfect
for them.
Mm-hmm.
It really was more about Gemma feeling left out this week, I think. What did you guys feel? I felt like I was a little scared for her as how down she was, because she's never down. She's always just like, Queen Bee, I got this. I was a little scared. What do you guys think is coming up in the future for Gemma?
Well, I was scared too. I thought at the end when she was sitting there staring at the water, I'm like, oh my gosh, don't tell me she's gonna like drown herself or something. I'm like automatically assuming all these like horrible things are gonna happen. But yeah, I was a little bit sad for her, especially when she was talking to Eleanor and she's like, have you ever been more than just the girl that the guy wants to sleep with? And Eleanor is like, actually, yeah, tonight,
love that.
you know?
Yeah.
And it's true, like, if you think about it, she is this heiress and, you know, seems to have everything going for her, but really the way that she kind of, you know, the attitude that she exudes and, like, how she carries herself, she only attracts guys that just want to sleep with her and not, like, real relationships. And even the way that she kind of treated Liam when she first came into the picture, like sending him the like sexts and like, you know, showing up, taking in her lingerie like in his room and like just not like being very ladylike, I guess you could say, or trying to like win back his affection in a relationship. She was just kind of trying to like win him back with sex, you know? And so I think she really realized in this episode, like, wow, maybe there's more to, you know, this whole love life than just being the like little sex pot, because obviously Ophelia is not like that at all and Liam is head over heels for her. So I think she really is kind of having like a self-realization moment, and she's staying that extra week in Monaco to maybe like think about things.
Yeah, that's such a good point, because she said, I haven't been that girl in a long time.
Right,
Ophelia. Yeah, that's such a good point. I was like, she's gonna, you know, it's weird to see her defeated, and I wonder if she's just gonna like plot revenge or something. I don't know. She's so evil, but she's also so stupid. Like, if you want to win Liam back, be nice to his friend. She's so awful to him. Loses his car in the poker game.
I know. And she's like, I'm gonna go dance.
Such an idiot. Like, maybe you should be nice to this guy. Yeah,
she's awful.
So she's awful.
I think that she's kind of too tough to be down for too long.
Yeah.
So she'll be back either, if not next week, because she's going to be in Monaco for another week, like she said. She'll be back in maybe 2 weeks on the show with a whole new set of plans.
Yeah.
But I don't know what they'll be.
Yes, I agree.
But maybe, like Fern said, her only option is to be nice.
Yeah.
Maybe she'll
And like
completely change.
And like Fern mentioned, she lost Ashok's brand new McLaren that he got for getting honors at school. And so Liam comes in to rescue the car back from, I wrote down the guy's name who...
Omar, thank you for our
there we go.
What do we have?
know.
Our
Her subtitles, yeah.
We would never catch all these secondary characters' names without it.
He was such a creep.
He was. I kind of thought it was sexy how Liam was like, save the day with the darts game.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I've never seen anyone that good at darts.
Well,
terrible.
it is a TV show, so I don't know if anyone really is. I mean, maybe people are
But
that
the way
good.
it's shot, like it's cut, and then you see it going in.
Yeah, it's
I was
like,
like-
he's like, Ashok, how much do you love your car? Well, it's yours, you know, like I'm like, all right, really?
Sexy. And also, the footage leaked, so then accidentally Ophelia shoots Ashok in the leg with the ceremonial bow and arrow, which is, I think, from a few episodes ago, that one sultan or king that the king wanted Liam to meet in the in the palace that one day. I think that's the ceremonial bow and arrow.
But why is it in Monaco?
Correct. Why isn't it in Monaco?
Bring it around to hang.
Well, they must have put it in the diplomatic bag and just brought that puppy on in
Why,
as decor
though?
for the house.
Yeah,
I don't know.
why?
I
If
can
you guys,
definitely-
if anyone out there knows, please let us know in the comments, because that's like, you're right. Now that I think about it, I'm like 99% sure that is what they gave Liam
Yeah.
Because they gave the king something else, but then he gave Liam the bow and arrow. But it's like, why would they bring that to Monaco?
That's funny. I can definitely see a bunch of early 20-somethings fooling around with the house decor while they're drinking and hanging out by the pool. You know, those party mishaps that go on when you're that young and have house parties. Okay, so Ashok gets shot in the leg. The idiot kids all take videos of it, and it leaks. I'm so frustrated that it was never brought up in the episode.
Yeah.
I guess we're getting to a point where that stuff's not going to always get mentioned unless it's driving storyline.
I guess, but it was just so weird because the king, like, even stopped and, like, saw it up on the big screen when he was out walking, and, like, they didn't say anything about it, you know? Like, I don't know. I agree. I thought that was kind of weird. Like, okay.
And then Cyrus was reading a newspaper, and it was on the front of the paper, and they never referenced that either, and I'm like... can we talk about it? I guess it's just like
par for the course now, being famous in this day. I don't know.
Well, maybe it'll be brought up next episode when they're first getting back to the palace, and maybe both the king and queen will be mad at them. Maybe.
Because they're fine acts. When she stepped out with the bow and arrow, I was like, oh, is this show like jumping the shark around? Like, please. But then they kind of recovered when they like laughed about the fact that she did that, so.
Yeah.
Well, I thought it was weird also, like, why wouldn't, like, Marcus was there, you know, Liam's security guy. Why wouldn't he, like, you know, stepped up and tried to take the guy down and get the keys from him? Like, they didn't really struggle very hard to try to get the keys from the guy.
Yeah, that was weird. I guess some of the standing around extra people were supposed to be, like, his buds that were also there.
And then they leave, so, like, all right, don't shoot me with the bow and arrow. And I don't know.
Kind of a cheesy scene.
Yeah.
Not up to acting par, I guess, where we'd like it.
But it was cute that then Ashok got shot, which was funny.
Yeah.
Well, what did you girls think of when Liam, oh my God, I would have totally fell for him in this moment. When they were texting to each other from the other bedrooms, and he said, like, in my arms, in my life, or like in my,
she's
in
like,
my bed,
is
in my
this
arms,
just
in my life.
Are you just trying to say the perfect line to get me in your bed? And then he said, in my bed, in my arms, in my life. I would have been like,
I would have been like, be right there.
Right, and that's what she did.
Yeah.
The perfect line. Yeah, he had a couple perfect lines in this episode for sure.
But it was
really
definitely
cute.
finally a happy ending for somebody.
Yeah.
So they in the end they're stepping off the plane together, and he says, "You're my girl. Let's go show you up." Oh,
he's like, I want the whole world to know. I'm like, oh my God, why can't that happen in real life?
I want Eleanor to find someone like her dad and her brother, like someone really good. He's such a good guy.
Yeah, it seems like Beck could have been that guy, so maybe we'll get to see his return. Cliffhanger, maybe.
Yes, I hope so.
Yeah, because I do kind of want to know, like, a little bit more backstory about him. She mentioned something about his wife, like, being with the guitar player or something, so I'm thinking maybe his wife cheated on him.
Right.
But I want to know, like, you know, who she is, and, like, maybe... We don't even know who he is aside from Robert's best friend, but, like, does he have any... You know, is he an heir, or is he royal at all, or what's his deal? You know what I mean?
Why didn't they ever get together, him and Eleanor?
Right.
Yeah.
So maybe we'll find that out. Well, because she said she lost her virginity to him. And then, they kept sleeping with each other, but maybe they just never tried to be in a relationship. I don't know.
Right.
So hopefully we'll find out more about him, because I liked him.
Yeah, I hope so. Maybe his mother made him marry his wife.
Never know.
I don't know. You never know. I need answers.
Never know. I know. Isn't it crazy how we're so used to kind of how the show is formatted that we're the whole time we're talking about the show, we're predicting what could happen, which are all very relevant storylines that could happen.
Yeah.
Well, congrats to us for being that good. No, I'm sure all the listeners are like, hello, we predicted the same thing. Let's make a hard right turn here. Go back to Jasper and the Queen and all the crazy dealings. What I failed to mention earlier was that Ted said to him, oh, by the way, as he's like kind of like shoving him out the door back onto the elevator, like, the Queen is very sensitive about her daughter's youth and beauty.
I think she said threatened, right?
Threatened?
Yeah,
okay.
I think so. I could be wrong.
Youth and beauty, in case it comes up. And it really became a case of that when the Queen was really calling him out on his past and said, I know that you tried to get to this man, the guy who ran the strip in Vegas, the king of the strip. You went for his daughter. And so you have a type. You go for the king's daughter. And he said, no, I was going for his wife. That's who I wanted.
He's so smart, Jasper.
Like, yeah, was that, I mean, I guess I'm feeling like an idiot because I don't 100% know. Was that him saying like, oh, hey, I'll get with you? Like, I really wanted you?
Yeah, I think if Ted had never gave him that warning, he wouldn't have said that. But now he was like, all right, this
he wanted to make her feel like, you know, he, like, yeah, okay, maybe I hooked up with Eleanor, but really I wanted to get to you. You know what I mean? Like, you're, like, more important, you're more beautiful, you're better, all that. Like, that's kind of, I think, what he was getting at.
Stroke
like, I didn't realize.
And other things.
Yeah, exactly. I didn't realize if it was he intentionally did that to not lose his job or he really meant it. I guess think it was my two choices. Maybe
a little bit of both. But I think more the job because I think he still cares about Eleanor.
Yeah, I think he wants to stay around, so he took Ted's advice.
I think they are setting up a creepy love triangle. Do you guys think?
I hope not.
Because I feel like the queen doesn't care about him at all. So it'll just be the sex.
Right, but if she finds out that Eleanor cares about him, then it's like game on for her.
I feel like she did that because she knows Eleanor likes him, has feelings for him.
Does she though? Does anyone know that?
I think she does. Every time she does something awful, it's to spite Eleanor, to hurt her. Yeah. But I don't know why.
In past episodes, like, she had an interaction with Jasper that she kind of like knew what he was up to and knew what they were up to. So that makes her even more evil that she's going after her daughter's love interest.
Well, there's this whole creepy competition thing with them, and we don't know what sparks it. Like, they're terrible they must have something terrible in the past that went on. Like, I don't know if Eleanor slept with someone that made her mad originally, that now it's a competition.
I think it's just the way she was raised. Like, Helena is just insecure and has all these issues and is threatened by her young, beautiful daughter who gets a lot of attention.
Okay.
It's weird.
It's weird.
I think maybe it might have to do with Helena's own mommy issues. Like, her mom was very controlling and, you know, so maybe she has problems with that. And then the fact that Eleanor, you know, is well-liked. She's a party girl. She's pretty. She's, you know, all of those things. I think maybe just like you said, she's threatened by her. But I don't know. It is weird. The competition. I understand in a way the competition, but like the evilness of her actions. Just I don't like. There has to be something, like you said, Megan, that sparked that whole, you know, just bitterness towards each other. Because obviously moms and daughters fight, you know, and they have issues, but normal mother-daughter interactions are not like that. Obviously this is, you know, royalty, so it's going to be different anyways, but still, like, I think that hopefully we'll find out what it is that, you know.
Because last week I really felt for her. You know, she'd been the evil queen all along, and I felt for her last week, though. I was like, wow, this was a real turnaround. I felt like this poor woman is not married to the man she loves. The man she loves is out there walking around. And I just, like, felt so bad for her. And this week I was like, she is disgusting.
Right.
Yeah, because when, you know, the king first comes back, and she's like, oh, you're back from Fiji? And he's like, oh, Toronto. And he's like, I remember when you used to be excited to see me. And she's like, I remember when you used to bring me flowers. And then later in the episode, he brings her flowers and sees Jasper, which, okay, if you're gonna do something like that with the queen, wouldn't you think you would be all buttoned up and, like, looking normal before you walked out of her room?
Exactly. Right. And aren't there 4,000 bedrooms in this palace? Like, why do you have to do it in her room? Like, find another room somewhere.
Right. A secret
crazy
room.
Yes, I'm sure there's a million of them in the palace.
I'm sure she knows all about them.
Right.
Yeah, I felt really bad for the king because
he's heartbreaking.
You know, this whole series has just been a true, like, he hasn't had any issues. All the other characters have had, like, you know, maybe even minor slip-ups, but the king has been consistently just a really good guy with great intentions. You know, he cares about people. Like, you can tell that he cares about not only his family, but the people of, you know, Great Britain. So it's just, I felt really bad for him.
Oh, it was
because
horrible.
he brought her those that beautiful bouquet of flowers. So I think he clearly still loves her, but she doesn't give a crap about him.
It's true.
It was so heartbreaking to see that.
Yeah. And I was watching, it's so fun on E! They have like great extra footage, and they always interview Mark Schwann, the creator and head writer. He was talking about last week's episode. It's one of our grandest episodes. Everyone's dressed up and looking so beautiful. It was the whole ballroom scene, the charity ball and everything. He's like, you know, how great you guys got to see another side of the Queen this week. And I was thinking like, yeah. And I'm watching this right as I'm starting this week's episode. And then I was like, that traitorous whore. Like, she's such a terrible person. I mean, first of all, we were all a little grossed out by her being like, at Her Majesty's pleasure.
Oh my God.
Forcing him.
Yeah, that was gross.
Forcing him to
You don't even have to
do a little fun for her only before she forces him to have sex with them. Like, oh my God. It like wasn't even sexy in any way. It was horrifying.
Yeah,
yes,
exactly.
It was very
She should be
awkward.
sent to the guillotine. She's a traitorous whore. I love that.
Yeah.
I can't. That was so horrible.
Horrible.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of traitorous whores, is traitorous a word? I just
don't
made
know,
it
but
up
I love
just
it.
now. Poor Prudence.
I know.
So she's still being threatened by Cyrus that she's going to go to jail for being a traitor, for trying to poison him.
Treason.
Blah, blah. Gosh.
I know, and then the king.
So much goes on here.
The king jokes about it, and she like freaks out, and he's like, "Oh, you know, I'm just joking." You know, he doesn't realize. And I thought a couple of times in the episode she was gonna confess to him and be like, "Look, this is what's happening. I don't know what to do."
Yeah.
Because he treats her like
I feel like
a
she can do
like
that.
his child.
Yeah.
You know, and if it were real life, I think she would be able to trust him enough to tell him what was going on and have obviously the king's word trumps everyone, so it doesn't matter what Cyrus would try to do, the king would have the final say in that, and obviously he would believe Prudence because Cyrus is just very evil as well. But I was really happy. I liked the scene with the two of them when she followed him and he was out on his walk, and she said, you're a really great man, she's like, you're a good man and a really great king. And, basically speaking for the public and saying that, they all appreciate it. And I think that's something that he really needed to hear. And she, realized that, okay, I can stand up to Cyrus. I don't have to put up with this. And like she said at the end, you want the monarchy to be looked upon in a favorable light. And the king deserves better, and I was proud of her for finally standing up to him, because it's true. Like, if he were to come out with that and say, then she would come out with what he made her do, and it would look pretty poor. So I was glad that she was able to finally, stand up to him without having any issues. So
me too. I was like, good for her. Yeah.
It's weird. It kind of seems like, oh, that was easy. When it seemed like, oh my God, this poor girl, her only option is to be sexually harassed and basically kind of raped, or go to jail. And this week she's like, you'll never tell on me because I'd tell on you. And I'm like, oh, really? It was that easy all along?
I know. I think she maybe just needed that, like, comforting, knowing that the king cares about, like, she could tell the king cares about her. He asked her to stay and have a hobnob, whatever that is. I think maybe like tea or crackers or something, but she obviously can tell that he cares about her, and like I said, I think he would have her back if she ever did have to, do anything like that or confess to whatever. So I think she just got the confidence that she needed to stand up to him and realized, okay, I don't have to put up with this anymore, and if he wants to try to come after me, then so be it, Well,
the king knows something's up, because right before she told him that he's a really good king, he said something about, you can tell, I don't know why the world's gone so bad.
Right.
And then she said, but some people are just struggling with their circumstances. And then he's like, well, whatever it is, I want to help you. So he knows that she's hiding something, and she won't admit to it. And I also have a problem with the fact that
they're trapped by their circumstances. That's what she said. Yeah.
So I have a problem with the fact that he realizes she's followed him, and he just is like, oh no, it's okay. What's going on? Let's have a chat. It's like, your maid stalked you in the shadows and you're saying it's okay. Plus, he would obviously have been followed by security.
Yes.
I'm sure security would have intercepted her. But let's pretend that doesn't exist. Why is he okay with her having followed him?
And there has to be more to it, because didn't she have a gun in like one of the first episodes? Like,
episode 2, I think.
Yeah.
I think he just knows that she's not following him out of like, you know, with any malicious intentions to like hurt him, you know? I think that he knows that, and so he didn't like really think anything of it.
Maybe he was like, this girl wants to talk. And maybe she feels she could talk to me. Yeah,
maybe he felt like she needed to talk outside of the kingdom or something. You know what I mean? I don't know.
I wonder if there's I feel like there has to be something more there, because there's how many maids working for them, and he befriends this one. Like, why this one? It's just seems like there has to be more.
I really feel like this is a prediction for me, but I feel like she's got to be his kid, or something. Yeah. You know, like, I don't know. Yeah. Because he doesn't ever act like, there's never any like sexual tension between them. It's not like he's attracted to her in that kind of way. It's like he cares about her in like a fatherly way. So that's what makes me think that maybe, or maybe he knew her mother. I don't know if her mom is still alive or not. Ooh. You know what I mean? So
maybe this is his past love's daughter, or it's their daughter together. Right. And because he disappeared from the scene to be the king.
And maybe Prudence doesn't know that he's really her father, but he knows,
That would make sense.
Okay, this is a bold prediction, but let it be known.
But I feel like it's not that bold, honestly. I think that it could be very legitimate. Yes.
Oh my God, I'm so excited.
And I like that she said to him, you know, you're a wonderful king. I think at that moment the monarchy was saved for a second until Jasper walked out the room, and then he's like, I'm going to the prime minister.
Yeah,
we all have our secrets, don't we?
Well, it seems like anyone says,
she's like, shit.
Anytime anyone says you're a good king or you'd be a good king, our male heroes are like all emboldened and in love. And then something happens to just pull the rug up from out under their feet. Oh my God. Well, okay, who have we left out? Anyone? Cyrus got his due. She told him what's up.
He'll be back with more evilness.
Liam, Affiliate, Gemma, Ashok, Eleanor, Jess. We got yelled at through social media that we haven't been talking enough about Eleanor. So let's say Eleanor. I mean, we
spent a very good amount of time talking about her today. But you guys got to understand that we want to talk about everyone, all the characters. You know that so much goes on in each episode that it's hard for us to fit it all in sometimes.
Right.
So we apologize if we're not touching on some characters as much as you'd like. But understand that we're just trying to be equal and fair and get everyone in there and get everyone their time, and you know there's so much that goes on, like I said. So
it's not like the Housewives. We cover the Housewives and nothing happens in an episode, and it's like there's so much here
until the show is over, then something finally happens. If you're a Beverly Hills watcher, you know what we're talking about.
But I think we covered everyone. We don't want the Liam and Ophelia fans to get mad at us. We covered it all, right?
I think we covered every little possible tiny side note.
But we love hearing from you, from people who love the show as much as we do.
Yay! Well, I think let's get into some predictions.
And now, your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
Okay, ladies, what's on tap for next week?
I did see the previews when I was watching it earlier at my house, but I can't remember.
I think the grandmom shows up, right?
Yes, and it's mother. What's her name? It's Elizabeth Taylor. Or
not
is
Elizabeth Taylor.
It's Joan Collins.
Joan Collins.
Oh, is that really?
Elizabeth Taylor's dead, so it's not Elizabeth Taylor. Sorry. But it's Joan Collins. Yeah,
okay.
Another dark-haired.
They look alike.
Yes, another dark-haired British woman. That wasn't that ridiculous.
Yeah. I knew. She just looked super familiar to me, and that was the first name that I thought of. Yes, you're right. Okay.
From Dynasty. She was in Dynasty.
So she's like that great primetime soap opera past. Yes. So it's fun that they cast her on the show.
Yes, I love it.
So it looks like she shows up, but we don't know what else is going on, do we?
No.
The Queen
will
looks
come back with a vengeance.
The Queen looks like she was covered in some kind of gold paint and getting a massage, and she was like, this better be important. Was that like one of those weird massages where they cover you with like gold leaf or
I have no idea.
One of the New York housewives you saw was getting a facial like that.
Gold, yes.
So that's the only the reason I could think.
No.
So Sonia.
Oh,
so I was thinking like, okay, well she's all covered in gold paint and being massaged.
I thought it was a photo shoot because she like had her hair and like everything was covered in gold. It wasn't like it was just her body, you know. I don't know.
I wonder what it could be. Well, maybe there's some kind of grand party going on or something because the Queen's mother shows up.
Well, that'll be fun.
Well, maybe we'll find out more about her and Captain Lacey's romance. Maybe she will confront her mother about having her life choices taken away from her and being forced to be the queen.
Such a bitch that will be like, oh, poor queen, the poor queen.
I'm thinking
we'll flip again.
That's where she gets her
her
terrible mothering skills come from her own mother.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting to see how. I feel like maybe the Queen's mother might be like really sweet and nice to Eleanor, which pisses Helena off even more. You know what I mean? Like, oh, my granddaughter, I love you, blah, blah, blah. And then like she's really mean to her own daughter. And I think maybe that might be like fuel to the fire in why Helena is like so against her daughter. Maybe. And I wonder what's going to happen. I really have no idea. They didn't really allude too much about like what's going to happen next with Liam and Ophelia. I feel like they kind of stopped at a little bit of a like not a dead end, but you know
they got their happy ending.
Yeah, they walked off the plane together. Now it's like okay, something's got to be thrown into their mix there to stir things up between the two of them. So I wonder if maybe it's Nick, right, the boy, if maybe he's gonna come back to the picture now that they're home or something. I don't know.
Or maybe the Queen and Ophelia's dad will be so upset they'll try to put a stop to it or something. Yeah. Maybe.
Oh, and then Eleanor's going to find out about Jasper and her mother.
I mean, that has to be happening next week.
Horrible.
I feel like Jasper will like tell her like, oh yeah, your mom was better than you or something like
and
that.
Maybe
you know?
he taped that one for real. Who knows? Or he'll say he is.
Or he'll say I learned my lesson and I got it on video.
Oh my goodness. Any other predictions?
I don't know, but those were pretty good.
They were.
I'm excited for next week.
Me too. All right, guys. Well, thanks for joining us this week. We'll be back next week for lucky number 7. And loyalists, go ahead and tweet us all week. We love talking with you. Fern, where can we find you, doll?
You can find me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Fern Ronay.
And you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Tina Cap.
And you guys can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Megan Stecher. It's MEGANSTECHER. Thank you. We'll see you next week.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.